What's the haps? I'm Meroka, and today I'm going to be taking a quick look at Imprint-X by Morgondag. Those are the same guys who made Rimmed Racer that I made a few videos on the channel a while back. This is a puzzle game from those guys. It is done in the current style du jour, the most popular thing going on at the minute, which is a 80s neon cyberpunky thing, which is ever so popular. We are this lady hacker here in the glasses and occupied with our laptop or tablet or whatever that is supposed to be in her hands. We will hack into the brains of people who have been infected with some manner of technological virus, and by solving puzzles we can decode things and basically cure them, is the general premise. It's all delivered non-verbally. There's no dialogue, there are no subtitles, nothing of the sort. It's all just imagery for you to make of what you will, basically, and ultimately it's just a premise to set up the fact that you're playing a puzzle game, really, at the end of the day. There are a few words in the options menus, so I think that the language option in the options menu is mostly supposed to be poking fun at the idea that, hey, we don't have languages in this because we're a non-verbal, non-dialogue, non-language based game. Therefore accessible to everybody, so our language options are Language X and Language XX. Except for the fact that everything on this page is in a language and there's no way to change that language. It's literally only 8 words, so it's kind of not a big deal. But, you know, it would have been... I don't think it would have been terribly unreasonable to just push that through Google Translate or something and offer options menus in different languages. But, again, this options menu is literally the only place language even comes up in the game. So perhaps people can deduce things from the symbols if they don't know the words. We have a lightning bolt, implies fast mode. I tried turning that on and I don't know what it does. It didn't appear to make the game any faster to me, so I don't know what that does at all. A move camera allows you to move the camera around. If you don't want to do that, you can turn that off. Show hero, our little hacker clone hero will sit in the corner and react when we do well, and be disappointed when we do badly. If you don't want that, you can turn that off. It's no biggie, I guess. It's just a little bit of extra flavour to the proceedings. And show UI, again, there's not much of the UI, and honestly, I actually really can't make out what most of the UI is. You could probably comfortably turn that off, because most of the UI doesn't necessarily seem to inform you much at all. I've played through like about a third of the game. I haven't figured out what most of the UI actually represents at this stage. Audio on separate sliders, music, sound effects, and I guess this represents our hero because, as I say, she'll react. I mean, if you do well, you might get a yay in the corner, or use general, broadly non-verbal kind of reactions from the character, just to show you how well you're doing or how poorly you're doing. So you can turn those off as well if you want. Graphically, we have resolution options. We have full screen. Don't know what this is. Again, the commitment to non-verbal things rather confuses the matter. What is 0 stars or 5 stars? Is this what we're rating it on the App Store? No, not. Well, maybe not because it's on Steam. But I can only imagine that's quality. That's all I can imagine that's supposed to be, is like, is this a low quality, is 0 star quality, or do you have 5 star quality? Again, because there are no words, that is not clear. Don't know. Can't tell you. Oh, I'm going to go with 5 stars. And then below that, we actually have a choice of monitor to display it on, which is actually pretty cool. Most games don't offer that, so yeah, that's a monitor selection option. Neat. So let's hop on into the world, get our little robot to put on our VR headset. I am not aware in any way, shape or form that the game is actually designed for VR. I don't believe it is. I think that's just maybe they're just poking a little bit of fun at VR at the minute, I suppose. So each of these worlds, you can see the people who are still asleep, they have not yet been cured. The people who are awake can have a big neon-y metallic X on them. They're healthy and happy. We have hacked their brains, and their brains are now free of technological viruses. They're good. They're alright. So let's hop on into one of their minds and have a look at some of the puzzles that came up. This is the interior of a human brain, in case you weren't aware. This is exactly what it looks like. So each of these puzzles represents blocked neurons or something, I suppose, and you're hacking them free so that the brain works again. I don't know. Make of the metaphor what you want. Either way, these are puzzles, is what these are. Some of them at the bottom of the tree are going to be very simple, some of them at the top are going to be a bit more complex. Each of the branches kind of does a different thing, and they all basically boil down to one thing, which is clicking buttons in the correct order at the correct times. It's a one mechanic puzzle thing. There's one mechanic to allow player input, but then they've actually surprisingly done a whole bunch of different things with it, so I think the best way to show that off is to demonstrate a few of the puzzles. So let's hop on into one of these, I suppose. So this one, I probably picked one of the more complex ones to start with. This one, we have 3 buttons to press. We have one here, we have one here, and we have one here. There are lights to represent when things can be pressed and when they cannot be pressed. This one is obviously on an automated timer here. The little greeny-yellow arrow says, yes, buttons can be pressed at this time. And red lights tell you that buttons cannot be pressed at this time. Occasionally, extra lives will drift across your interface, and she will look very happy when you grab one. Our lives are down here. You have a certain number of moves to complete levels within, otherwise you lose a life. I have not lost a single life yet. Because, firstly, if you look like you're doing badly, you can restart the level at no further cost. And you can also just hit R at any time and restart the level at no further cost. You don't lose a life for restarting a level. So if you're doing really badly on a level, just restart it and don't lose a life, which utterly defeats the whole point of having a life system. The rest of the UI, as I said, you could probably turn the UI off because I don't know what these are or do. I've never seen these numbers change over the course of a level. It doesn't actually tell you, I don't think, anything useful. Time is 8. What, have we got 8 minutes to do it in? 8 seconds to complete it in under? I don't know. That's not clear. 4 crosses? What does that mean? 2 stars? What does stars mean? I don't know. Again, the commitment to non-verbalness makes that very, very vague and ambiguous. I've managed to 3-star all the levels without ever referring to any of the UI so far, so you probably don't need those, and since I've never lost a life, you probably don't need that either. Broadly speaking, the UI could probably very, very comfortably be turned off if you really, really wanted. At any rate, the premise of this one is these ones will move the crosshair back and forth, the cost of moves, so we don't want to waste our moves. What we want to do is move this around in the shortest time possible. One of these directions is the right way, one of them is the wrong way. I guess you have to count the nodes along the rails to figure out which is the right way and which is the wrong way. But ultimately, yeah. When you move that there, these lights all become green, and it tells you, yep, or yellowy green. It's yellow, it's more yellow than green, isn't it? So it tells you that's good, and then when the timer's right, you click it, and the door opens, and I get 3 X's to tell me that's good. We get points based on how well we scored in the level, and you can redo levels to get an infinite number of points as well. You don't only get points from the first time you complete it. Every single time you complete a level, you'll get points for it. Those will fill up the meters to go to 100, and you'll get an extra life if you hit 100. So that's that. We'll pick a different one from a different pathway. Let's go with this one. This one's more of a timing puzzle, I do believe. So start off, press that. That switches things, opens it up. That basically tells us which order to push the buttons in. Another life over there, excellent. They're not normally that common, but yeah, occasionally it will give you a refresher. So I know I need to press the buttons in that order, we have been informed. And now this is going to be our timer, I need to do this, 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 this. And that's good. So it's a combination of memory puzzle and timing puzzle. Not that there's much of a memory. Man, these are coming thick and fast. Not there's much in the way of a order of memory to push them in because there's only 2 buttons. Some of them are a little bit more complex than that. Let's see if I can find some of those for you. But yeah, they do a bunch of different things. Over here, we've got some kind of rotational block kind of puzzles. The only real trick to these is figuring out what the pattern is, and once you figured out the pattern, you could probably restart the level and do it better if you don't do it immediately. Mostly what we're trying to do is make a spiky cross kind of thing here. So each time you press the button, at the cost of 1 move, it will rotate each one of these pieces, and yeah, just gotta put them in the right places until you've made the pattern that it so desires. And then when you've done that, the level will be complete. Let's pop those there, and then these two. At first it was like, what do these do? Oh, they do that. That's what it does. They're simple. There we go. 3 X's. Good, good. Those do get a bit more complex because, like the last one here, this one's a bit more vague. This one's like, this took a few attempts because you broadly kind of have to make the outside of this line up to make kind of a ring-shaped structure, but It's a little... Is that the right one? Or is that the right one? And then the whole thing's rotating as well. So I think that's right. I think that's right. Is that right? I think that's probably right. I think it was right to begin with. That one, I guess. That one? And then that one? Is that right? That's not right. Something is wrong here. That one is... That one. Yeah, there we go. Cool. That was not the optimally done one, because again, that one's a bit... That was a bit vague and ambiguous looking. You have to really sit and think about it and make sure you're doing everything perfectly right with that one. I took a little longer than I should have done, but hey-ho. Some of the... As I say, I was going to point out some of the ones that just ask you to press buttons in the right order. I think some of these early levels have those. So we push this out. It tells us those buttons. I think you have to also press them when they're lit up. So it's not only pressing them in the right order, it's also pressing them at the right time. And then you can press those two buttons to close that again. You can press these. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and then that's... We also get moves back for doing stuff successfully as well. So again, you're not really running out of moves too dramatically. And then close that. Whoop. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Simple. 1, 2, 3, 4. Mission complete! 3 X's. We're good. We're good. So I suppose now that you got a feel for a few different flavors of puzzles, I mean, this is all within one mind as well. So there's like 4 or 5 different kind of flavors of puzzle, even within this. This is just one section of the game. So presumably there will be a lot more different stuff going on as well as you go through. So in spite of it being the single button pushing mechanic, they have managed to do quite a broad spectrum of different puzzle styles with it. So it does keep things reasonably interesting as you go through. So we've got these boss levels. Let's have a look at these. These ones are not on like 3-star rating system. These are just have you completed it or not. So these little blocks are going to move around in relation to rings. Sometimes the rings will be moving, sometimes they'll be moving on different orbits. But basically you need to... There's no button in this one, you just need to click anywhere on the screen the specified number of times that are on the left-hand side of the screen until it disappears, a light lights up, and we move on to the next bit of the puzzle. So this one, these guys are going to be moving around the same thing, both moving at the same time, but at different speeds, so we have to wait for them to overlap. Some of these ones do get a little bit tedious, because sometimes they've got them moving at very, very slightly different speeds in the same orbit, in the same direction, such that they only actually overlap very, very infrequently. If you miss, the screen will shake, she will be disappointed, and you will lose a point down here. But each time you get one right, the time your move limit kind of goes back up anyway. So there's not really a massive risk of failing these levels, honestly. It's very difficult to fail them. In spite of it being a boss level, you would have to click wrongly quite a lot of times to actually fail one of these boss levels. Sometimes it does get a bit frantic towards the end, but again, you're still getting points back for every time you get it right. So these ones, you can just kind of focus on one at a time, I guess. That should have worked. There we go. This one you can maybe get 3, maybe even 4 at a time on a single orbit. So let's get that one. Let's get that one. No. I'm wasting moves. Gotta wait for everything to line up again. This is what I mean about the ones that kind of take their time to actually line up. The fact that the orbits overlap, I think they can be activated on any particular ring. So if sometimes the different rings overlap, it counts. So, oh yeah, I got one. One of them's complete. I now gotta wait for that to do its thing again, to get 2 more. So now we play the waiting game. We've got different numbers down here. If those numbers mean anything different, beats me. Yep, got it. Cool. Back up to 18 moves, so no real risk of failing this level, particularly at this stage. So these guys are going to go the opposite way. I totally got that. So these ones overlap a little bit more frequently. And sometimes they will throw a couple more at you whilst you're in the middle of it. Let's get that. Oh. That one moves a bit more... They're out of sync, but it moves a lot more frequently, so it's not quite so bad. It should catch up fairly frequently. And then each time we've lit all the things up on this... Basically you can see how many puzzles there are going to be. So we know there are going to be 7 puzzles to this section, because there are 7 lights. And then once we've done that, the boss will be complete. Again, we won't get ranked on our performance for the boss level. The boss level is literally just, have you done it? Yep, yeah, I have. 18 moves to play with to complete the final challenge. This one's got a circle moving within a square. Ooh, exotic. I say that in a very snarky fashion, but it does keep things interesting. I'm just naturally a very snarky person. Let's focus on the other one. Can I get the other one? I have no reason to keep doing this to show you this, I just want to finish it now. I've shown you how the boss level works, you know how the boss level works now, but I'm 2 clicks away from finishing the boss level, so I might as well stick with it at this stage. Boom. Boss level completed. I did not have full 18 moves left at the end, but it doesn't matter, as I say, we're not ranked. The lights on the puzzles give you an idea of what rank you have. The top light is, I think, have you completed it? The bottom 3 lights are either green or red, depending on what rating you've achieved. And the boss levels, as you see, they literally only have 1 green light. So, yeah, you only need to do that once. The branching paths kind of give you different routes to get to the end as well. If you're struggling with a certain type of puzzle, you can go other routes, but broadly speaking, they're generally pretty easy so far that I've found. I don't know if the later levels get more challenging, but as I say, I've spent about an hour so far playing the game. I've completed what would appear to be about a third of it, depending on how big and how long the other worlds are. I'd imagine that if they're more challenging or bigger, perhaps you're looking at 4 to 5 hours of gameplay total this, but it's a very affordably priced game as well for what you're getting. It is $4.99, and yeah, that is broadly speaking what you're getting. It's a single mechanic, but interestingly designed game. I'm not a huge fan of the graphical style, I gotta be honest, but the mechanics are pretty interesting. They've done a lot of varied, different mechanics with the one-button format, and I think it's worth a look just for that alone. So this is, as I say, it's $4.99. It will be out today on Steam, so there'll be a link to that in the description below. And yeah, I will happily recommend this. I think it's one worth checking out. For the price point, it's kind of hard to go too wrong with that. And it's an interesting little title. That's Imprint-X. Thank you very much for watching. I've been Meroka. I will see you next time.